Welcome to Vector Simplified Drawing. Today, what you're going to make is a drawing with Google Drawings. Now, Google Drawings is a free app that already exists within your Google Drive, and that's where it'll be saved. So what we'll end up doing is we'll find a photo, or you can take a photo of something, and then you're going to translate it into a simplified drawing using shapes or a polyline and making a vector drawing out of it. So the default app is Google Drawings, but you can use something like Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, or Fresco, or Vecteezy. There's quite a few apps out there. So I'm going to click on the link, and if you don't have the link, you can just go to your Google Drive and add a Google drawing. It's under More underneath all the usual apps. So I've got my artboard here, and what I want to do is use a reference. So I've already chosen this photo of an apple, and this is great. We can use this in different ways depending on how we're doing it. Your actual page is where the checkerboard pattern is, and if you have something off like here, when you save it, it will cut it off. So make sure all of your image is within this rectangle. Now, you can make this in two ways. You can use shapes or you can use a polyline. Let's use shapes first. So shapes are going to make it very simple and just exactly what it sounds like. So if I've got an apple is kind of a round circular shape. So I'm going to click on the shapes, find the one that's closest to what I'm making, and then just click and drag it out. Once you've dragged the shape out, this is pretty much the shape of the apple, then you can color it. So there's two things. You've got a border that goes all the way around it. Right now, if I click away, you can see that it's black outline. And then there's an inside color, which is called the fill color. In this instance, we don't really want to use an outline. So I'm going to click on the outline button up here and click on transparent. When I click away, you can see that's gone and it's just the color blocks. That's what we want to use. When I want to color the inside, I can go to the fill button over here, and it gives me the choice of solid or gradient. So the gradients make it so that there's light spots and dark spots, and it can kind of show a little bit of form. But for this one, I'm going to go solid, and I'm just going to pick red. So perfect. We've got red. We've got the start of this apple. I'm going to add in two more elements. So the stem and then also the leaf. So I'm going to use the shapes, and I'm going to say, okay, what looks the most like a leaf in here? And I want to say it's either this diamond or perhaps this shape right here. This looks interesting. I'm going to click and drag this out. You can see it's rounded on the corners, on two corners, and then square on two. It's going to show up with an outline, so I'm going to get rid of that. And the fill color on this one is going to be green. So I'm going to change that to green. Perfect. You're going to notice when you're using vectors that everything that you put down, every shape, every line you put down can be changed in any way at any point. So you can make it bigger, smaller, you can flip it, you can rotate it, you can do whatever you need to at any moment to change these things. So that's different from roster graphics like Photoshop and where you use little pixels. So I'm going to keep that right there. And finally, my last shape, the stem looks pretty much just like a rectangle. So I'm going to click on the rectangle shape. I'm going to make a skinny, long rectangle. And I'm going to rotate it because I do want to keep that angle that the other one's got. I'm going to put it right in the middle. And I want to change the color of this as well. I want that to be a brown color. Perfect. So that looks good. Now I want to move the leaf in there. And the leaf, you can see, is actually behind the stem. And I want it sitting in front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it where I want it. And then I'm going to change the order. So right now it's behind the stem. If I right click on here, I can go to order and then bring to front. So it'll bring in front of all the other pieces. And now it's sitting right where I want. Perfect. So that is an apple just with some shapes. Very simple. You can challenge yourself to do other more challenging sorts of images if you want to. An apple is simple. So this can be a quick video. Now the polyline is the other way we can do it. With the polyline, I typically click on line here, and then go to polyline right there. And what I'll do is I'll actually trace, kind of like tracing. You don't have to, but you can. And for this one, I'm going to zoom in as well. Perfect. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with the red apple because that's the piece that's kind of behind everything else in terms of stacking order. And here you can see I can just click and it will put a straight line behind what I'm doing. And so I'm just going to click around roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is a simplified picture. And there we go. We've got a general shape. It's got more realistic shapes than the last thing, with the last way we did it with the shapes, but it's still simplified. I'm going to choose, whoops, I changed the outline. I actually want to get rid of the outline, transparent, and I'll change the inside color to red. Perfect. And now, if you start one by accident, you can just hit escape. And if you make a mistake, you can always go Command Z to go backwards. To do the other pieces, I'm just going to move that out of the way. And now I'll do the stem. So I'll do the stem this time. And just like before, the apple has a bit more realistic shape to it. Same with the stem. The stem's going to be a little bit more realistic too. I'm going to change the color of the stem from red to brown. Use the same colors before. And now finally, I'll grab my polyline once more and get the green leaf going on. So I'm just going to scroll up a bit. There we go. Now I can see. And I'll just get the general shape. You notice, like, you could click a whole lot and make it quite realistic in shape. For this project, you don't have to, but it is a possibility. Once again, let's change the color. Let's get a nice green color going on there, and it's on top of the other piece that I wanted, so this is great. Everything looks the way I need it to. I can move my apple back into position, and I will zoom out, and I can just take my reference photo away. So there we go, 2 different ways to make the same thing inside of Google Drawing. Finally, one thing I'll show you is sometimes you make things either too small or too big. If you want to move everything, you can just drag when you have the select arrow, and it will grab everything. The transformation box you can see is around each piece, and I'll make this bigger. You can also squish it and squash it. If you want to, you can see mine got a little bit wider, so I'm going to go back. There we go. So then I'm going to make sure it goes, there we go. That looks better. And then I'll do the same thing with this apple to place it. And I'll make it just a bit bigger. There we go. Your final thing that you need to do is put a little background color, because right now we have a transparent background. The easiest way is to right click on here on the page and then hit background and then choose your color. This time I'm going to choose a custom color. So let's go with dark red's kind of interesting, but I want something a little bit different. So I'll go one more and I'll go custom color. And I want a darker, really dark red. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and then once you're done your actual project, whichever way you do it, with shapes or with the polyline, you're going to save it by going File, Download, PNG, and that will save to your desktop or your downloads folder, whatever you need. So good luck on your project.